Artists and creatives, you have the power to heal, transform, and elevate lives. Are you ready to step into that power? Hello, and welcome to Superfan Attraction, personal branding for artists and creatives. Today I have my first return guest. Katy Chen Mazzara was on my podcast a few years ago now, and she's a financial coach for creatives. And we need to, and since I found myself coaching different clients on money, mindset, and childhood traumas that sometimes contribute to that, I was totally channeling her when I was coaching my clients on these. And you could hear in the episode with Stacy Marie Kiba, we talked about money issues, money mindset issues. So if you want to hear me coaching someone on that, you can go back and listen to that. But yeah, I wanted to have Katy on because she's the expert, and everything I've learned from her taking her program and coaching with her. And I'll let you know a little bit about her. Here's her. So, Katy Chen Mazzara is a certified trauma-informed financial wellness coach and graduate of UC Berkeley's Personal Financial Planning Program. As a former freelance TV producer, Katy understands the balance between dreaming and doing. She helps creative freelancers and entrepreneurs release traumas and fears so that they can find emotional and financial freedom. And trauma-informed is also a theme in the more recent episodes, so we're just going to go with it. And because it's so important, trauma. And since even just in the last month, I've gotten a certificate in trauma-informed coaching, and I want to further my own knowledge. So I asked Katy about her experience. She did a more intensive trauma-informed training and certification. So I wanted to hear about that, and then also why she was drawn to taking the trauma-informed training, and also, the challenges that us artists and creatives have when it comes to financial issues. We want to avoid it. I know I do. And Katy is someone that a few years ago, when she was launching her program, at first, the financial stuff, I'll admit, I wanted to run away from. I was kind of tuning out when she's talking about the financial stuff. But then when she coached someone, and you got to witness her coaching someone through money mindset issues and connecting with childhood trauma, it sold me. I was like, oh, I need to work with this woman. And so I was in her program for 2 years, and I don't know, I might even do it again. And because it was so valuable, there's the core training, but then there's also the coaching sessions and the group coaching sessions and the guest speakers. And her program is Financial Freedom for Creatives Club, and we do talk about that in the episode as well. But definitely, if you're catching this in time, in early December, she's having workshops that are free. You can sign up, so I highly recommend, even if you're not even thinking about joining a financial freedom program, get into her world. Take this workshop and, see what she's about, because she really understands us creatives. And that's what sets her apart as a financial coach, because she understands being a creative and an artist where we have, we don't have steady income. It's up and down, and how to survive that, and how to connect with your mindset and the trauma that lives in your body that's maybe holding you back. So highly recommend that. But for now, let's get into the conversation I had with Katy. Katy, welcome to the show. You're the first repeat guest I've had.
Oh, I'm so honored.
And it's been a few years since you were on the podcast,
Yeah.
and I've been wanting to have you on again
Mm.
and catch up with you. And so maybe give a little introduction to who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and all that good stuff.
Amazing. Yes. Well, I'm a financial wellness coach. I'm a trauma-informed financial wellness coach, and I help creative freelancers and entrepreneurs make more, worry less about it, and achieve true financial freedom so that you can create the life of your dreams. And the reason I do what I do is twofold. One, I was a freelance TV producer for about 15 years. So I really understand the ups and downs of the industry and having to find a job and then not have a job for, however long it was. And so I really want to help creative people to make this a lot easier in their lives. And then the second reason I do what I do is a little bit more personal. It is because I've known 3 women in my life who stayed in abusive relationships because they didn't have the resources to take care of themselves and their young children. So they felt like they were stuck and they couldn't get out of it. And so my mission has been to empower people to make decisions not based on money. Instead, I want you to make decisions based on the dreams that you have for yourself. And if you have children, to be able to help your children to fulfill their dreams as well.
Cool. And you've recently, I'm curious about the trauma informed.
Mm.
I recently got a certificate in trauma
Hmm.
informed as well, but probably not
Hmm.
as in depth as yours. So I'd like to hear more about what inspired you to get that certification, and why did you choose whatever school or whatever it is that you chose?
Hmm.
How that all came about.
Yeah. So when I've done a lot of work and I have a background in like inner child work and those kinds of things that I bring into the process because as children, we don't really understand the concept of money, right? Because money isn't really real. We as humans made up the concept of money. And so as children, we've experienced so many different aspects of like, let's say it's just your parents were fighting about money all the time. Or for me, it was, a couple of different things. My dad, every time the taxes would roll around during the year, he would be at the kitchen table frustrated and angry while he was doing his taxes. And then my parents would fight about money all of the time. And then I also had a grandmother who was, she had some money, but she also was very tight with her money. And she would accuse everybody of stealing her money all of the time. And there was a time in our lives when we were younger that there was a day where she came out of the guest bedroom and she was like, oh, somebody stole my money. I put it underneath the mattress and it's gone. And instead of the fun thing we were going to do that day, she ended up like, making us all like look for her money. To this day, I still have no idea where that money went. And then, however, as an adult, I started to really remember those moments and say to myself, I don't ever want to be like her. And so I'm going to just do the opposite, right? Which isn't necessarily healthy either, because the opposite was as soon as it came in, it all went out, So there is a lot of things that, whether it's big trauma with the capital T, like the things that I was talking about with, the 3 women in my life who stayed in those abusive relationships, or it's a smaller T, right? Like small traumas actually can also happen, so that it informs how you're behaving now. And until you get to the root of those issues, right? And you're willing to kind of dig deeply and unearth them and bring them up to the surface, and then also learn how to release them from your body, then it's really, it can keep you stuck into the same patterns that you've been doing over and over again, even if you're saying, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all the practical things, right? Like I'm reading all the books and I'm taking all the courses and all of the stuff. And it may still not help you to make more money or to be able to take down, to pay off your debts or to save and invest more in your future, because those other pieces are trying to keep you from doing the things that it feels like it's, you feel like you're in danger, right? In those senses. And so that's why it wants you to stay in the same place and, be just comfortable on the couch, not doing anything and making changes in your life. So that is the main reason I did that. And I went through a program called Elementum, and it was a 9-month program at the time. I don't know if it's still a 9-month program. It might be even longer now, because I think they felt like it was too short, or maybe it was, something like that. And it was very intense. It was, not only were we learning all of the processes of what it means to be trauma informed, what it means to somatically release these experiences and traumas from your body. And it was also a process of taking ourselves through this, right? And, because they always talk about how, you can't actually get someone else through a process if you haven't actually been through it or released it from your own body, right? And one of my things that I worked through was my visibility issues, right? Like I have a thing where it was very, very challenging for me a couple of years ago to even do lives or to do any kind of thing that was like, I felt like I was putting myself out there in so many ways. And, and that was something I worked through in that 9 months. And now I feel, pretty confident about doing that. And I mean, definitely don't have the same kinds of fears. I definitely feel like I'm, on the other side of all of that.
Yeah. Like I had the same thing with visibility, and like spend my life trying not to be noticed because that's scary.
Yes.
And so now you want me to go on camera. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Right.
that again was a big challenge for me, but again, the more you do it, the more you get used to it, and you're like,
Mhm.
whatever now. But the trauma informed coaching, the one I did was it was more shorter.
Mhm.
It was 20 hours,
Mhm.
and it was free.
Mhm.
It was the Center for Healing, and it's cool. Two guys from Australia that just thinks it's so important that people are trauma informed, that they're
Mhm.
offering this, and then they have bigger courses that if you want to get more
Mhm.
into it. Um, I find that trauma informed, it's such a serious, and because like it's same in the coaching is that you, oh, I'm a certified coach, but you might have just taken like a day program, or someone else has done for years,
Mhm.
whatever. But I think when you're dealing with the word trauma informed,
Mhm.
like that's serious.
Mhm.
And so like I even felt weird about putting trauma informed. I kind of want to say trauma sensitive because I actually read a really good description of that.
There is a difference for
And
sure.
yeah, before I took the program, I was like, I saw this description of it, and I was like, definitely in the trauma sensitive. But then after I finished the program, I read it again and went, oh, I'm here now. I'm trauma informed now. But I also
Yes.
will be the first to say that I don't really want to be that person that really does the trauma work.
Mhm.
It's more I attract people as clients who have trauma. And often I'm the first person they're telling. And I just wanted to learn enough to, as it is, it's a safe space. But like, and I've been lucky that, nobody's, gotten too far traumatized. But I
Mhm.
just want to take that responsibility and be prepared so that it is a safe space.
Mhm.
So that's why I did it. And I'm learning, even though I'm finished, I still am reading books about it,
Mhm.
and I want to learn more. And also, I think I
Mhm.
learned I'm not healed.
Oh, no. no. I mean, I don't even believe in like, okay, that we can actually just heal ourselves like that, you know? It's like, I always think about it as sort of a cone, right? Like the bottom at first when you're working through something that, you've been going through your whole life, it's like really wide at the base. And the more that you've been working on it, it gets smaller and smaller at the top of the cone, right? It gets, but it's still there. It's just you're circling the same thing, but it's just hopefully at the top of it, it's just gets smaller, and then it takes less time for you to dwell in it, right? You can recover from that place a lot easier.
Yeah. I'm curious to know also what approach that program took, in the sense of the one I took was kind of anti traditional therapy, and it's all about the body and
Mhm.
getting in touch with that. And I think that's where I was like, oh, I haven't even done that kind of work. I have tons of trauma in my body and I just try to avoid it, and it's all in the
Mhm.
head. And
Right.
so, oh, I do want to learn more about that, but was it more about the body connection?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what they really teach is that, you can do a lot of therapy, and they're not anti-therapy. I think that there is a place and a time for therapy, and I think like, there are, and it's a very interesting distinction that, I think coaches need to be aware of. Even if you are trauma informed, you are not to
Yeah.
go into those spaces where a therapist, a licensed therapist who have really been trained to go into, those are the things that you need to know, right? Like
Yeah.
what is that line? And in terms of the body, they talk about how sometimes if you're just talking and talking and talking in therapy, right? Like, yes, it can feel like you're doing the work and you're getting it out and all of those things. However, trauma lives in our bodies. And
Yeah.
until it actually releases from our bodies, it doesn't really um, create a major shift and change. And that's why so many times, like, people can stay in therapy for years and years and decades and decades.
Yeah. Because I think years ago, I did a lot of different therapy programs or trauma healing and everything. But now I look back at it in the last couple of years, like getting to know some of the coaches that we know, that there's a whole world of new or older um, processes that connect to the body. And I'm
Yes.
like, I don't think we did any of that in those programs that I did back then. We did art therapy, and
Mm,
but it was mostly talk.
mhm,
And
mm,
so I'm interested in learning about the different um, modalities that you can teach.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
And I think for me personally, I am somebody who is probably more in my mind than I am in my body. And so it was a really cool reminder. And then it helped me to do a process where now I have different modalities and ways to get it out of my body, and to really do that. And it feels so different. It actually feels more expansive. Like all of a sudden, after doing some of the work, it's like I can breathe more easily and I can feel so good in my body right afterwards, And instead of sometimes like, yeah, you're just dealing with the mind and you're just talking through it, it's like it's still kind of stuck there and I can't and I'm just reliving it over and over again in my mind.
yeah. So what are the different modalities that you learned, or you put into your work with clients? Is it like some people are do the tapping thing. I don't know about that either yet. I want to learn more about that. And what are the different modalities that you learned that you want
Mhm.
to or have put into your practice with clients?
Yeah, well, we didn't learn tapping. That wasn't one of the things. Ours was more of a somatic approach. And so there are different ways of doing, of opening, whether or not it's like, um, we go into a process of like going deeply into your body, really checking in, first of all, in where in your body it's located. And then what does it feel like and look like, and what kind of message is it trying to give you? And then it's like wherever it is in your body, that's where you get to work on the release. So it's very different in all of these different areas, right? So let's say, oh, you have a headache above your eyes or something right here, right? Then there is a very rapid kind of eye movement modality that you can use, right? Or if it's in your shoulders and it feels like, you're carrying the weight of the world on there, then there are shoulder releases, right? And some of it is even just in the self-massaging as you are releasing whatever it is that you're feeling, right? Like, we can talk about, oh, yes, I'm feeling in this moment that, I have a lot of work to do, right? Or I'm, like I always have to work so hard in order to make money or something, right? And I'm feeling it in my shoulders. And then I can actually say those things and rub my shoulders, like get those knots out while I'm doing it. And then that helps in terms of connecting your brain and your body in order to release whatever it is that you're working through.
Oh, cool. Yeah, these guys were talking more somatic as well, but they didn't get
Mm.
into the actual, like, that's their further program.
Yes,
Sign up
right.
for later. But I'm curious about that. When did you first kind of, even when I took your program, you were still always starting it off with a meditation and
Mhm.
connecting with your body even then. So
Mhm.
when did you first get interested in, were you always interested in meditation?
No.
But you said that you were like me, always in the mind. So when
Yes, I
did
was
that
always in the mind. I was all, like when I was a TV producer and a journalist, it was like, yeah, I don't think I ever thought about any of that. I think it all switched. It might have been like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there were a lot of things that happened in my life. I had a death in the family. I lost a job in the entertainment industry. And then I got a health diagnosis that wasn't something I really wanted, of course. And so that one year, I think it was 2016, and that one year was the year of major transformations because I felt like what I've been doing before this is not working. And then I was also noticing that when I went into therapy that wasn't working. Like I would talk to my therapist, and then I feel like I felt the same, or I felt just as crappy. And then I felt really stuck. I felt like, nothing I was doing was working. And then everything in my life was sort of blowing up and, in a, like, it's not, in some ways it wasn't real, but in some ways it was, right? And so, however, those were the things that I felt in my mind and body. And so then I started to look for other modalities of doing things. And first I went through, transcendental meditation. And if anybody does that, you know that it's, you actually have to pay for it. It's not a free meditation thing. And you go and get training on it, and they give you a mantra. Like each person's supposed to have like a very specific mantra to them. I don't know if that's really true or not, because I'm sure if we did talk about it, like we all probably have the same mantra. Um, and then that was like, I mean, I had an experience through that. One time when I was doing the meditation where it really kind of took me out of my body, and I started to feel like, I don't know, like I mean, this, I've never actually talked about this, so so forgive me if it goes into this really strange woo woo place. But it really felt like an out of body experience. It felt like I was floating above myself and really observing myself. And I was like, whoa, like, what is that? And also, it made me realize there was something else that I don't really know, right? Like I grew up going to a Southern Baptist church, for crying out loud.
Mhm.
So this other stuff, you kind of like growing up Baptist, you're like, no, we don't believe in that kind of stuff, right? Um, but then when it happened, I was like, oh, there is something here. And so I started to go into more different modalities of spirituality and really understanding from this place of like curiosity and like, what is this, and what do other people believe in, and how do people do things, right? So then it wasn't just the meditation, it was also like more of a personal development journey that I went on. And then I did a retreat, a spiritual, like personal development retreat, and went even deeper. Like all of these things kind of led me to that place, and then realized very quickly that after I did a financial planning certification at UC Berkeley, that was a very practical kind of certification. Then I realized when I was working with clients, it's like, it's not just those practical things, right? It's not that really helps to move things forward. Because if it was just practical, first of all, none of us would fight about money. And money is the number one reason most couples get divorced and fight over, right? And then second of all, if it wasn't an emotional piece, of with your money, then you can read all the books about it, right? The books that other people talk about. Even I love the book, the Personal Finance for Dummies. I actually think it's very good. It's very great in terms of the practical stuff. And so if it wasn't emotional, and if it's not about changing habits, then you can read those books and implement them, and it's
Everyone,
all going to work out, right? You're going to be, a multimillionaire, right? All of
yeah.
the things.
Mhm.
However, because it is emotional, then that's where I started to, okay, I got to go back to, getting certified, in these more spiritual modalities that and emotional places, right? Like, and I think like that's why right now, even the idea of a financial therapist, that's like a growing field. I've seen so many different people going into that because of exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, the habits that you've created, the things that we grew up learning in childhood, like that hasn't, that completely makes us like we're still 5 years old when it comes to money sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't understand it. We don't know what to do with it. All we know is that, like, it seems like it's the only way to survive, so then you put this importance on it.
Yeah. And you help creatives and artists, and that's really probably a bigger struggle
Mm.
for creatives because we just want to create
Yes,
and
absolutely.
avoid all that, the stuff we
Yes.
should do, the stuff we, you know.
Yes.
So, what are some of the mistakes that you see artists and creatives making when it comes to their financial? I would say I know mine is avoiding, but
Mhm.
do all creatives and artists avoid the whole money thing?
I think most do until it becomes more of a painful subject, right? It becomes, you know, um, I think if you're somewhat good with your money, right? Like if you're somebody who, you pay your debt, pay off your bills, and you don't really accrue debt, then you can go like years and years and years without having to work with anybody or to dive into the subject deeper, right? Um, However, I think it gets to a point where then it feels a little frustrating. Feels, like kind of like when 2016 happened and all this stuff happened to me. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm stuck, right? I don't know what to do anymore, and I feel like, yeah, now I gotta start over or whatever. And so then it's like, okay, now I gotta find somebody to help me, right? To make this a little bit easier. Because, sometimes when you're stuck, it's like if you keep trying to do the things all by yourself, it actually can make things worse, or just kind of keep you in this place of like nothing's working out, like, and that's a hard place. And then the other thing I would say, when you asked like what I see over and over again, is really buying into a belief, right? The belief that, like, in our society, the belief system in the Western world is that, you have to starve for your art, right? You have to, be a starving artist. That's how everyone starts, and, all the things. And then the other belief is that you have to work really, really hard in order to get where you want to go. Right. I do believe, and there is a piece of work that you do have to make, right? Like, you can't just, especially with money, you can't just put up vision boards and and manifest it that way, right? Because money is so earthly. So there is some work that you do have to put in. However, the belief system is so important, because there is a spiritual teacher that I work with, Michael Beckwith, who always says, you don't get what you believe, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe, right? And if you think about that, it's like, it's so deep, because it's, our belief system really colors your world, right? Like, if you believe that like the world is out to get you, and that there's nothing that you can personally, like, you have no personal control over anything, then that's what you're going to be finding the evidence for over and over again in your life, right? And then when you find the evidence for that, then you're kind of putting yourself into a cycle of, all of the time you're like, yep, I know that that's true, because this is the experience that I have, right? Versus, okay, if your belief system is that, things do work out for me, right? And then you're also looking for the evidence of that in the world. And then things do show up for you in very different ways than someone who believes the other thing, right? So your belief system is so, so important when it comes to anything you're doing, and especially as a creative person, because and in the entertainment industry, right? Or in the music industry, that where you started from, right? It's like, because there is no set path to getting to the place where you want to go. Like, my dad was an engineer, right? So there's like a set path of like, okay, you do XYZ and you'll get to the place where you want to go.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a musician or an actor or writer, there isn't that same exact thing. And so then it's like, it really does rely on your own belief system, and I talk about this. I love the story of like how Jim Carrey, like wrote a check for himself for $10 million, right? And then he dated it 10 years in the future, and then exactly 10 years later, he actually got 10 million for, I think, Dumb and Dumber, or The Mask, or one of those movies. And and I said, and then a lot of people will do that, right? A lot of actors will write the check and whatever, and then they're like, well, why didn't it happen for me?
Yeah.
And it really is around your belief system. I do believe that, there's something about the way Jim Carrey did it, and he really, truly believed it, that is what's going to happen in those 10 years, right? Versus somebody who's just writing it based off of like Jim Carrey's story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that connected to it, because
Mm.
sometimes I'll read about manifestation or take different programs for it, but it's hard to get to that core of really believing it.
Mhm.
And so there's what are some different tricks that we could do that will have a more belief system? I'm thinking like I need to put more things, like the things that I need to remember on a daily basis. It's like
Mhm.
maybe putting little notes or
Mhm.
inspirational things, or just things to remind you of, like, remember.
That's very helpful. And it's also helpful to take it step by step, right? Don't go so far into it. It's like, if I say to myself, by this time next year, I'm going to make $10 million in my business. Eh. It's like, yes, there's part of me that can believe it, but then there is a huge part of me that really doesn't believe it, right? And so that's not the way to actually create that belief system. Instead, it's like, okay, what can you what is the next step and the next step that you can take, right, in order to build up your belief system? The belief system needs to be just one step away from, you know, where you are currently, right? And then you're building into that. And then once you're at that step, then you can go into the next piece of building into that.
Yeah. I remember you had this. What was your jar thing?
Oh,
What is
yes.
a jar? What?
Yes.
Explain
It's
that to
called
me
the
a bit.
self-worth jar.
I need a
I love
refresher.
this. Yeah, the self-worth jar. And it kind of works in the same way. So I always tell people like a self-worth jar is kind of like compounding interest in your savings account, you know? So each day you write something positive about yourself, and it almost doesn't matter what you're writing as long as it is positive and it's about you, because it builds it up, right? Like each and every day that you're doing this, then you're getting closer and closer to believing that, to be true. Like I had a client one time who uh, did this exercise and then a couple months later read through what she had written, and she told me, I didn't even recognize who wrote those things. Right. And that's because we're so far removed from our higher selves. And so that's why the practice of doing this daily really helps you to build up into that place where you can start to really believe in that higher self, right? Believe in the place where, let's say it's the most benevolent, like, parental figure, and who really cares about you and loves you unconditionally, right? This is us getting to reparent ourselves in a way, right? Because none of us have perfect parents, and it's um, and then it's a way for you to get to that place of being like, oh yes, I unconditionally do love myself, and then I do see my own worth, and I know who I am and what I bring to the table, right? And then whenever you do need a reminder or whatever, you can pull it out and start reading through it, and it's just a practice of building that up. And I think it's such a beautiful practice for everybody to do, because I do believe that our self-worth is really tied into our net worth, you know.
I was thinking of doing something similar, but for accomplishments. Those little
Mm.
accomplishments, like, because I work, 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 and at the end of the year, sometimes you're like, "Did I accomplish anything? Like, what?" And but meanwhile, I was thinking of having that jar of like every day, what did you accomplish today? Even if it's, you know what, I took a self-care day. I
Yeah.
didn't work at all. Check. And having that at the end of the
Excuse me.
year, you could look at it and go, "Damn, I accomplished a lot." You know, I was
Hmm.
thinking of just putting that into place.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think that there are some journals who have things like that too. Like
Yeah.
there's a place for that, so that you can also see your success building up as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Hmm.
could be more in your face, like you could see it.
Hmm.
Cool. So tell me about your program, Financial Freedom for Creatives.
Yeah. So this membership is a year-long membership where we go into all of these things that we've been talking about. So the emotional places, as well as the practical steps to reaching financial freedom. And, a lot of times people are surprised that like we go so deeply into the emotional spaces. A lot of the hot seat calls are, pretty emotional. People will cry or you know, um, allow themselves to get very vulnerable. And that may feel scary. However, I do believe that, in a group space, part of the healing that happens, or the transformations that happen, is the fact that you get to be seen and heard. And then also, as Brene Brown's work talks about is that, shame and guilt likes to hide in dark corners, right? So then as soon as you're able to, speak up and announce like this is what I'm going through, then things really start to change in that way. Like a couple of years ago, I had a member who, admitted that he had like over $100,000 of debt. Right. And he was like, I don't know how I would ever pay it. And he later told me that that was the moment, when he finally said it out loud on one of the calls, that was the moment that things shifted and changed for him. Right. And then on that call, I gave him some suggestions, and one included even bankruptcy. And he said, oh, that was a thing that kind of woke me up too, was like, oh, I don't want that. That's not what I would want. And so I have to figure it out in other ways. And then he was able to manifest actually about 75% of that amount and be able to pay that off during that year in the membership. Right. So this is kind of like, yeah, that combination of things that we do. And, we start off with some foundational work, really setting your goals and getting clear about what it is that you want, writing out, some of your money stories. And then we go into core values, which is so important because you can start to make decisions based on your core values. And if you're in alignment with it, the spending becomes so much easier. And then you start to spend towards those values rather than not towards those values, right? And we go into decluttering your debts and savings, your own self-worth. Again, we do a lot of practice with that. And then, towards the end of the year, we really go dive deeper into investments too. So if anybody wants to learn more about investments, we definitely do that as well. And then I do it at the end of the year because so many times people are not ready for that at the beginning. And if I started off with investments, like it would just
investments. Everybody like, what did I sign up for?
it's exactly.
The creatives and artists.
Yes, exactly. And yet, for creatives and artists, I do think it's really important to have, a diversity, to diversify your income, right? Your income streams, diversify the way you're making money, have some passive income, streams coming in so that then it doesn't create, so much worry and anxiety. And then you can create from that space because, it's really hard to be creative when you're in scarcity mode. You've got to get out of scarcity mode in order to create. And sometimes it's, getting out of scarcity mode is actually one of the harder parts because you don't have the momentum yet behind you, right? Like once you're in a certain place where it doesn't feel scarce, then you actually have so much more momentum to keep you going versus like in the very beginning, right? So that's why I think like, something like my course or even something else, like another course, I think, everybody has different coaches that they can work with that actually really resonates with them. So it's not like I'm advocating just for mine. But I do think it's really great when you're in that place to actually find somebody to help you with that momentum, getting you to that next level, because that's actually the hardest place to be is, when you're in a place where it feels like you're just in survival mode.
Yeah, and to be in a group program with other artists and creatives who either they've been where you are or they are where you are.
Exactly. That feels really supportive. Yeah, for most people. Everyone talks about that too, is that, the group environment is so supportive and a lot of people have made friends. Like last year, I think one of the members, they went to Europe went to London and met up with another member. And then they took a photo and sent it to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so great that they're like making friends across the world.
Yeah. And how many years have you had this program now? I think I was in the first 2 years.
Yeah, 3 years. And this is the third year. And then I'm about to go into the fourth year with it.
Have you found that you've evolved the program, or is it still kind of the same kind of thing?
It's very, I think Well, in some ways it's the same because I do believe in there's a specific process that I like to
Only the
take.
training part.
Yes. Yeah. And then there are some differences as well because I like to evolve things as years goes on because I like to ask everybody, okay, well, what was your experience? And, getting that feedback from everyone. And then whatever feedback I'm getting, I'd love to incorporate those things, because the members are the ones that are going through the program each year
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. I love having like my system hasn't it's been kind of at the core the same, but I've realized like how much I've evolved it and got better at it and and so
Mhm.
it's it's always still interesting to
Yeah. And I would say that, I had not gone through the trauma informed program in the first year too. I think I went through it not last year. I think I did it in 2021, I want to say. Um, and so, I think that has shifted and changed a lot of things as well because of
yeah,
that program that I've gone through. Mhm.
yeah. And so you launched the program with a challenge?
No, not for December. Yeah, in August I did. I did do a tap challenge. Yeah, for December it's going to be a series of workshops, right? So you get to come to one of the workshops, and then, and I always feel like during these workshops, like I give you a lot. Like you can probably walk away with, if you really don't want to sign up for the program, you're going to walk away with a lot of great things you can start implementing right away. And then I also open it up for questions. So if anyone has anything, I'm really open to hearing what people have to say about that. Um, and it's not one of those fluffy, like, oh, I'm going to sell you something kind of deals. Instead, I'm really giving you a lot of actionable things that you can implement.
So coming up in December, is it a multiple day workshop or is it one workshop done a few times?
Yeah, it's one workshop done a few times. So you get to choose, yeah, which day works best for you.
Okay, cool. So we'll put that in the notes for people to sign up and check
Great.
it out. I know
Awesome.
I always recommend you to my people, and I've
Thank you.
mentioned you on a few podcasts lately.
Thank you.
There's a trauma-informed theme happening in the latest
Mm,
episodes, so
mm,
um,
mm.
we're gonna go with it for a while.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, recently you had mentioned working with a client and you were working with that client on money, and it was so cool to hear because I loved everything that you had told me about it, about how you worked with this client, and I was like, yes, that's
There was a
exactly right.
theme there too because that was like the third or fourth session I'd had on
Mm.
money in that
Mm.
month or so. I'm like, why does everybody keep coming back to this? But yeah, like multiple clients.
That's
It's like
amazing.
it's such a common thing,
Yeah.
but it was just funny that, I did it with one client and then I swear the next session with a different client, I'm like, we gotta go through this again. And then with my client that I had in the past that I had on their podcast, I
Mhm.
had no idea that's where we were gonna go. I
Mm.
don't know where I don't know what I thought we were talking about, but then all of a sudden we're into the money thing again. And I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
definitely
Well,
have learned
money
a lot.
touches on everything, right?
Yeah,
It permeates our whole entire lives. And so it's important. Yeah, it's
yeah.
good.
So
Yeah.
I'm channeling you and everything I've learned, just even through my own experience and
Mm.
well, I think also her questions were a lot about the business, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good at that. And
Mhm.
charging,
Mhm.
not working for
Mhm.
free and that kind of stuff happened
Right.
naturally to me. But
Yeah.
the getting into the childhood thing, it's like
Mhm.
it was cool. For
Mhm.
I get into the childhood when I do like the why and your story
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But it
Mhm.
was like there was a few clients in a row there that it was digging into the money story.
Mhm. That's so cool. I love that. Yeah. I love it. And and when you reached out to me and asked me about it, I was like, "Oh," and I listened to it and I was like, "Yes, you did a great job."
Hey, sometimes know what I'm talking about.
You know a lot of times what you're talking about.
Yeah. When you're multi-passionate, you want to learn about everything. And so, like, that's why even the trauma informed, it's like, or with each of these clients, I said, if you want to dig deeper into the money, go see
Mhm.
Katy. I can get you started, but then go see
Yes.
Katy. And then
Yes.
same with the trauma informed. I plan on being like, I can help you through this part, but
Mhm.
I'm fully aware, like even that I do branding, I don't do graphic design.
Mhm.
I still will probably send you to another branding coach that is going to help you with the design of it. And,
Yeah.
everyone has their own, specialties. I think that's so cool. The community
Mhm.
of coaches that we're a part of,
Yes.
even if it's a different money coach or
Yeah,
a different personal branding coach,
exactly.
they might come at it from a completely different way. And it's
Yes.
just whoever you connect with.
Yeah, that's why, like, even in my program, I bring in people, guest experts who have different things. Recently I had a certified financial planner who came in who really focused on working with musicians, and I love bringing in people who have the different expertise, right? Because he's all about getting you to those retirement goals and the investments, and then because he works with musicians, it's a very um, kind of a good combination of my audience and who he serves as well.
Yeah. And I'm from the music world, that I'm sure some of the other creatives will, after hearing about musicians, go, I don't have it so bad. Musicians making next to nothing. Everyone in Canada, it's SOCAN is the money that you make on your songwriting and publishing. And
Mhm.
everyone's posting lately. I guess the check came in,
Mhm.
and everyone's like, I got $1.30. I got 34 cents. I got $2. I got $3.50. So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to share? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, I think we did too. No, I think I mean, I just want to say, you can make this part of your life a lot easier so that then you can be even more creative, right? And I really believe that once you have your financial pieces in place, then um, it helps you to go into other places in a more confident way, and make the kind of money that you really want to make doing what you love.
Yeah. I think I talk about that when I talk about figuring out your why and your purpose, because I know I'm not money motivated, but
Mhm.
if you can tap into what you really want and why you want it, look at
Yes.
all the good you could do if you had
Yes.
more money, if you had more freedom.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. I hope everyone joins your workshop, or if you listening to this late, still go check out Katy and all that she does.
Thank you so much for having me, Diane.
Thank you. So I'm gonna stop. Thanks for watching Superfan Attraction. If you enjoyed this episode and all that you're learning, be sure to subscribe to the channel. To connect with me, I'm Diane Foy Arts on all socials and in the Superfan Attraction group on Facebook.